Welcome to the Resilient Minds podcast, stories of grit, growth, and success, where we dive deep into the journey of successful leaders who've struggled and succeeded. Before the wins, before the titles, what was the mindset behind the leader? On this show, we focus on real stories behind the success, the struggles, the resilience, and the courage it takes to keep moving forward, even when times get tough. My goal is to provide you with stories of hope and transformation, showing that no matter the challenges, there is a way forward. On this show, we'll be meeting with highly successful leaders who've battled through obstacles, emerging stronger and wiser on the other side. This show is for anyone who wants to grow, evolve, and find the light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone's a leader, so together, we'll uncover what it truly means to evolve as leaders, and ultimately, as human beings. This is Resilient Minds. Hi, I'm Dr. Campbell, and I am your host. I'm here with Jerry Kezhaya. He is a speaker, author, and business growth specialist, and he's here today to talk to us about working with business owners and coaching them, but there's also the healing aspect to it, which is our internal world. Jerry, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for the invite. I have looked forward to this conversation for a long time. So here we are. Let's make it fun.
Me too. When I was thinking about who I was going to have on the podcast for the first several episodes, you immediately came. People have to hear your story. So how about really quick before we get into the story, tell us what you do because there's so many hats that you wear.
The number one hat is I am a human being.
I love that.
That is what I do best. Not a human doing, actual human being. And I just say God made it so simple. He put it in our name. You're
Yeah.
not a doer, you just be. You get
Yeah.
to be. So that's my number one thing. I just love the people in my world. So and most of them get to love me, and
Yeah.
and I've owned, my wife and I have owned 8 companies simultaneously. I started my first company in January 1981. So in this January, it will be 45 years I've owned businesses. We've had the pleasure of having over 200 employees at the same time.
Mhm.
That's a wonderful experience, I can tell you.
I
And all the
bet.
stuff that, yeah, right, all the stuff that goes with that. We have coached lots of folks. That's currently what I love to do. Almost more than anything else is help business owners to grow their company. Um, I say grow their company, and Doc, the truth of it is, Jim Rohn said this best. He said, "It's not the making of $1 million;
Mm.
it's who you have to become in order to make $1 million."
Right.
Right. And our coaching clients, most of them have this idea that they just need to start making a lot more money.
Mhm.
And the truth is they actually have to become more of who God intended them to be. And
Right.
that's what we get to help people do a lot.
Absolutely. And I feel like you're so right about that situation. Like people are just chasing money, their hustle culture, and I'm no better. I used to do it as well. And I really had to have that huge shift of my mindset to stop working on my business unless I'm working on myself more.
Boy, isn't that the truth? You just absolutely nailed it. Do you realize that 85% of Americans never pick up a book past high school?
No.
85% never pick up a book past high school. That statistic blows my mind because I am surrounded with books. And I mean, my wife is like, "Oh my God, you spend 10 to 12 hours a day reading."
Mm.
Oh, I do. I have to keep up. I
Yeah.
gotta be current with all the stuff. And there's so much going on out there that I frankly don't care who's dancing with stars.
Mm. No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I'm one of the outliers. We unplugged our television 26 years ago,
Mm.
and we don't even have. I'm I'm here at our ranch out in Northeast Texas, and we don't even have a TV in the building, in the house at all. Like,
Yep. I
don't
was
want it.
thinking at some point I was going to do that too. I have teen boys at home, so I can't do it now, but
Oh, you
it's
can.
different.
No,
I
you can. My son was 5 and my daughter was no, my son was 8, my daughter was 5 when we unplugged the TV, and they
Mm.
both cried like they'd been mortally wounded. They said, "Dad, what are we going to do? We're going to die." I said, "No, honey, you're not going to die. You're going to learn.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to learn to read. You're going to learn to communicate. You're going to
Yeah.
have conversations with people." I mean, it's a whole different way. I think at first they hated it, and then
Mm.
they grew to absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a win one day when my son came. I picked him up from school, and he said, "Dad, is it okay if we don't play computer tonight?" I go, "Sure. Why? What's going on?" He goes, "I just want to sit around the table and have a conversation."
Oh.
And he was in the 7th grade, so that
Mm.
was like a big win for us, right?
Huge win, especially with
Yeah.
that pivotal moment of growth if they're craving the connection.
Yeah. Yep. So, kids raised right grow up to be good adults. And that's really what I think all of us really want. We want our kids to be good adults. We want them to be happy. We want them to contribute to society. I think as we contribute to society. So this is our mission today is how do we get a greater impact and help more people to become the person God intended them to be. And that you get to choose, right? I mean, they get to choose what that means. That's not our choice. It's
Right.
we have a very interesting set of protocols that we go through when we take on a new coaching client, and the first question they have to answer, and it's a 45-minute exercise we've created, and the question is, what do I want?
Mm.
To help you get to where you want to be, you got to know where you're going.
Right.
And if you don't know where you're going, any place will work. And so
Mm.
when we do this exercise, we're very clear. What do you want? Not
Mm.
what do your parents want for you?
Right.
Not what does your spouse want for you? Not what does your cousin want for you? Nobody. It's in your heart and soul. What do you want? What do you want to experience out of this life?
Right.
And the reason most people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. They spend more time planning their vacation than they do planning their life. And then they go,
Mm.
"Why does my life suck?"
Right.
Well,
Couldn't agree more.
let's talk about that.
Right, which it takes people like therapists and coach to dig out those, whether it be wounds or resistances, because you can't even say what you want if you don't know who you are.
Amen. Yeah. As a doctor, you clearly bring that conversation into the forefront, and that's really where people need to work on is who are they, and what do you want?
Mm. Well, I like the spin that you put on it because and I can tell this because of our connection. And, we met a couple of years ago and immediately connected like one heart-centered person to another. Like
Mhm.
you have to do the deep-seated work to find out who you are. And that reveals what God wants you to be or how God wants you to be, who God wants you to be, right? And then you can discuss the what I want out of life as a result of that foundation. But if you don't do that foundational work, which most people have the option in therapy or coaching, but they still
Mhm.
choose not to because they're scared or they're resistant, anything like that. Sometimes even the wounds can be a lot to dig through by yourself, so you need people to be able to help guide you through navigating all that.
Well, man, boy, we can, darling, I can run with that anywhere you want
Uh-huh.
to go, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, first of all, yes, we definitely connected a number of years ago, and it's just been lovely catching up and seeing what's going on in each other's world, and we need to do that more often, by the way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would like that. Uh, my wife says, "I want to meet this lady." I said, "Well, I promise it'll happen, okay?"
Yes, I'd also like to meet her. It's so much better.
Yeah, she's a neat gal. when you're talking about having a coach or a therapist or someone work with you, there's a book called A Dose of Hope by Dr. Dan Engel, and it specifically talks about MDMA therapy. And Dr. Dan goes out on it goes on the record saying that over 70% of us have unresolved trauma in our body.
Mm.
And after coaching with so many, I mean, hundreds of people over the years, I can tell you that that number, in my opinion, is probably low. I would say that number is probably a lot closer to 90% than it is to 70%.
Yeah.
But even when you're working with medicine, even when you're working with psilocybin, MDMA, or whatever altered states that you feel most comfortable with for the client or the patient,
Right.
even with that, only 20% of the healing happens within the altered state. The
Mm-hmm.
other 80% happens with the integration and
Yep.
the coaching that they get prior to and post session, right?
Right.
And if they're not, there's so many scary things out on the street today, and there's so many people offering, here, I'll help you,
Right.
and they like it. I don't know if we're supposed to get into the conversation of psychedelics, but man,
Let's go.
if someone's pushing you into psychedelics, saying you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, and I'm the guy that's going to help you do that, you need to turn and run as fast as you can, right? Especially if you don't know where they get their product from,
Right.
if you don't know the purity of the product, if they can't show you a chain of, I call it the chain of control.
Yeah.
Um, you just, and oh, by the way, just because you had a couple fantastic trips on the in your backyard one night or one week doesn't make you a good facilitator. There are
Right.
things that you really, really like. When you're talking with someone, whether it's on the couch in your case, or on a therapist of some sort, or you're putting your soul, your heart, your mind, your body all into the hands of someone else,
Yep.
right? This is I've learned a long time ago, especially with psychedelics, there are no casual experiences.
Mm. Absolutely.
Zero,
Yep.
right? 1/3 of all mushroom trips that are done casually end in a bad experience.
Yeah.
Like the statistics are so crazy. Like this field right now is really the wild, wild west.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to tell the consumer you must really be cautious with who you're working with. But I think that's in any field today too,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, look at the deep fake things that you're seeing on the internet. You don't know what's real
Right.
anymore. So today we really have to be more and more careful.
We do. And what's interesting about that topic, so I had gotten trained, several years ago in psychedelic assisted therapy. So
Mhm.
that's not administering it, but it's after the ceremony for the integration, which is the part that you're talking about. And I also found that same thing. There's people just randomly getting high, thinking that they're healing and they're actually harming themselves,
Yes.
or people who have not done the work trying to assist people who are doing the work. It doesn't work that way. And
Oh,
and and so I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because more people who do need to do the deep-seated healing but don't want to do a decade of therapy, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. But there
right.
are other routes, and this is another route. It's another option, but it has to be done correctly.
Well, I'm considering my age, I'm fairly new to the psychedelic world. But I will say that for the last 6.5 years, I've been deeply involved, and I can just tell you from my experience, I don't understand who people that get to use these as fun. When does the fun come in, man? It's like it's hard work. Like because I've always done it like for healing
Right.
trauma. It's
Yeah.
like when does the fun part come in, for God's sake?
I agree.
I'm over here getting my brains knocked in from the
Yeah, the deep shadows that are coming out to play. They want to be healed.
Oh,
I agree because
yeah.
I have the same experiences. Like it's work, but it's good work, right? Because there's also the good feelings that bring on after you've had a release or an integration. Like there's the connections and the insight, but it's still work.
So there's a book called Power versus Force
Oh,
by Dr. David Hawkins.
yeah.
And in that I don't okay, for your clients, please don't take the time to read the book. It's a tough read and it's now Jackie, you probably enjoy it because it's all clinical stuff. But I mean it's drier than a popcorn fart, okay? But there's a chart in there.
Interesting. I do nerd out on that, so you're right. You're right.
See, I knew that. But there's a chart in there, and it's the power versus chart force, where they talk about the vibrational frequencies that humans have. And
Right.
it starts at 20, and the top bar is 700 to 1,000. And if we all can agree and subscribe to the fact that everything has vibrational frequency,
Right.
everything is vibrating. The table is vibrating just slow AF. But if you could match that frequency, you could put your hand right through the table.
Right.
Okay. Our bodies are vibrating. Your cell phone is vibrating. The glasses are everything vibrates. And so the human frequencies, Hawkins created this list and it starts at 20, goes up to 1,000. And the average American, if you ever get this chart, and you can Google it, by the way, or go to DuckDuckGo or any of that, and you have the chart, you probably have the book right there.
Yep.
I have the book right here. But
We
most
won't be able to
importantly,
get the visual up on because it's going to be a podcast, but that's
well,
the one
you can
we're talking about.
cut that. See, mine's in color,
Yep.
right?
On the
And you
book, it's actually on page 90 to 91. It's the
yeah,
map of consciousness, so people can
yes,
Google it.
this is an amazing chart. And so the average American fluctuates between 50 and 100
Mhm.
in this state of consciousness,
Right. And
which
that's
is,
so low.
oh my God. I mean, 50 is apathy, despair, and hopeless. Grief, regret, and tragic is 75, and 100 is fear, anxiety, and frightening. Like
Right.
this is where they live their life. Okay. This is not how life is intended to be lived, not by any stretch of the imagination. And when I started, I was between 100 and 150. And I will tell you, because of the work that we've been doing over the last 6.5 years, I currently live at the very top of it, which is between 540 and 700.
Right.
So that's where I spend most of my vibrational frequency fluctuates between 540 and 700. So
And to
that's
put that into perspective for people, that is going from the emotional state of, and I can reference the book actually to be specific, but it's going from like a fear-based control, shame,
yes.
lacking mindset and vibration to one of love, joy. So 500 is
But,
specifically love,
mhm,
and 100 is specifically fear and anxiety.
yes.
So that's
And
the comparison and the difference in quality of life when you work on yourself.
it's mind-boggling to see. And Hawkins says in the book, it's very unusual for a human to upgrade their level more than one or two levels,
Yeah.
right? And if you're doing just talk therapy and you're not really working on your key issues, and I mean, I believe we have to do this on a cellular basis,
Yep.
right? And for me, it's you can do it through years of meditation, you can do it through decades of talk therapy, or you can jumpstart it and take a little medicine and do some altered states and get there a lot quicker.
Right.
Uh, this has just been our experience,
Hmm.
and it's been fascinating to be able to facilitate other people's growth uh, because of the various trainings we've had and our experiences as well. And of
Right.
course, my wife being a doctor doesn't hurt either.
Right. Always good news. And I love that our conversation, I feel like when when we're having conversations like this on the podcast and the vibration and energy, the synchronicities when they come up, the universe already knew that the listeners needed to hear where our conversation gravitated to.
Mhm.
So knowing that this is where our conversation is about to end, right before we end, if you are talking to somebody who is scared of doing psychedelics and hasn't done any healing work, but is maybe considering, what would you tell them?
That's a great question. I'm really glad that you asked that. And I had this very conversation yesterday at 9:30 in the morning.
Mm.
This fellow was absolutely scared to death. He says, "There's no way, no how. I will never do that." And it's like, here's my suggestion to you.
Mm.
If you are even remotely interested, find someone that you absolutely, completely, and fully trust. Have them do an intake to find out if you're eligible. There's a lot of things that are contraindicated. In other words, they have a bad result if you mix the two. Okay. I think the number is 38% of Americans are on some form of antidepressant.
Right.
Okay. Antidepressants and psychedelic medicine don't work well together most
Mhm.
times. There are a few options, but again, this is why it's so very important to have someone you can trust.
Right.
But if I were the way my path, and if I can just talk about this just for a second or a few seconds, I was 59 years old when I first even heard about MDMA.
Right.
I never smoked marijuana. I never did anything. Like if it was illegal, get it the heck out of my aura. I don't even need anything about it. Not interested. And then I was in a business meeting, and this man stood up and he started talking about MDMA therapy for PTSD. And I'm telling you, I got tunnel vision and tunnel hearing. It's like the rest of the whole room blacked out, as though God says, "Hey, pay attention to this. This is important for you."
Right.
And so he talked for about 20 minutes. I grabbed his phone number, and we spent over several weeks 3 hours on the phone, and I went on a journey of 18 months to learn everything that I could about MDMA. MDMA is in my opinion, one of the safest uh, chemicals out there that you could take. It was designed early in 1912 or 1913 as a diet supplement.
Mhm.
They pulled it off the market because it had other properties that they weren't familiar with. And it wasn't until Alexander Shulgin, uh, pulled it back out in the 70s. He's considered the godfather of MDMA. But he pulled it back out on the market and did great things while he was working for, I think it was Dow Chemical. Nonetheless, MDMA is probably the safest and the cleanest gateway product that I would recommend someone uh, to use. It's such an amazing. It floods you with serotonin, dopamine,
Yep.
and that word I can't say. Neuro.
Oxytocin,
Say it again.
norepinephrine,
That's the
neuroepinephrine.
that's the one. I always struggle with that word. I don't know why, but you feel loved, you feel safe, you feel like you are in God's embrace, and it's the most beautiful feeling. They called it ecstasy for a reason. And
Yeah.
by the way, ecstasy off the street today is usually laced with fentanyl.
Yeah.
Don't play with that. That's
Thank you for that.
dangerous, right? We don't want anything that's not been tested and proven to be pure. um, just because the risk is too great, right? I mean, it's all you have to make sure that everyone is safe. But when you take this medicine, you're going to be on an amazing experience, and it will sound scary as hell, but you get to relive your trauma from the safety of the
Mm.
room you're with. You go back into your mind, and like in my case, um, I had no idea what my issue was.
Mm.
I know I'd gone through talk therapy for years. I thought I cleared all that stuff.
Yep.
And when I took MDMA August 22nd, 2019, I had my first session, and I saw myself reliving my experience as a 5-year-old where my uncle sexually molested me. And it made sense to me at that time that I'd spent 55 years of my life in fight or flight.
Right.
It made sense that I was angry all the time. It made sense that the more successful I became, the angrier I became. Well, yeah, I was still waiting to rip someone's face off,
Right.
right? But when you're 5 years old and you have this adult thing coming at you, you think you're going to die.
Right.
And, as an adult, as a 59-year-old man, I looked at it and I completely changed the narrative.
Mhm.
As you know, trauma is not what happens to you.
Right.
Trauma is the story you make up about what happens to you.
Right.
That's why you can have 10 people experience the same thing at the same
Mhm.
time, and there will be 10 different stories because of their filters, their trauma filters that they have built in. And so when you get to re-evaluate and relive and classify the experience as something other than, well, it didn't kill me, right? As a 5-year-old, I thought I was going to die. As a 60-year-old man, I actually got angry and I thought, what the hell were you doing? Why did you bother this beautiful, innocent little human boy?
Right.
I mean, it just made no sense to me. And I remember journaling the next day, and where we talked about only 20% of the healing happens within the medicine. So
Right.
I'm journaling the next morning, and honest to God, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm writing it out as I'm thinking it. I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on. This shit was supposed to cure me. And all I know is I'm getting angrier and
Yeah.
angrier as I'm writing.
Yep. It was purging it, huh?
Oh, yeah. And so I remember writing down, um, I'm in my journal and I'm writing how I'm going to find my uncle, and I was going to basically assassinate him.
Mhm.
And I was writing out all the plans. I had a rental car I was going to pick up, and this and that, and all this other stuff. And at one point, I literally slammed my pen down on the paper and I said, "No." I yelled startled my wife. I said, "No, that's not who I am."
Mhm.
And when I did that, I felt like about 3 feet on either side of my body, and from my navel to about 3 feet over my head, just felt cold and empty and vacuous like space. And I had the forethought, and I said, great, what are you going to fill that with now?
Mhm.
And I put love in that whole area.
Yeah.
And when I meet people now and I tell them the story, and they say, there's no way in the world you were ever angry. We can't imagine you ever being angry.
Right.
And and just being that person. And it's like, shit, man, are you kidding me? I was that way for 59 years of my life.
Yeah.
And so now, it's different. You clear all that out. And uh, I'm 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 I just have to say, I've become more successful than ever.
Right.
Money flows to me now like it's meant to.
Right.
Um, my wife and I have the best relationship. We are truly each other's best friends. The change in me was so profound that we hired the same MD to sit with her a week later, and
Hmm.
my wife had the same experience. And we've just been on this journey of healing and helping each other heal and helping other people heal since 2019, and it's been a fascinating experience. And I would highly recommend to the folks that are listening to this, if you get the opportunity, please, 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 please take it.
Right.
Your life will be forever enriched, I promise.
So true. Thank you so much, Jerry,
Oh,
for your story, your vulnerability, and what you're doing in the world. It's absolutely needed. And I think the more business professionals realize that we need to work on ourselves more than our businesses, by default, will be more successful. It's going to change the world.
I
So
agree. And thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I love chatting with you. And anytime you're ready, let's do it again.
perfect. I love seeing your face and chatting with you as well. I'll talk to you
Thanks.
soon.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining. Your time and your focus are your most valuable currencies, so thank you for giving that to us today. Our guest contact information will be in the description below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But please, if you know someone who's struggling, stop right now and send this video to them. The struggle behind growth and success is real, and they need the support to make it, because the strongest minds are the ones that healed. So don't forget, lead louder, feel deeper, and stay resilient. Until next time, this is your host, Dr. Campbell, on the Resilient Minds Podcast.